When it comes to navigation using bearings, it's actually not as hard as you would think. So we'll have a look at question 1a on page 445. Okay, so this question is saying we went for 10 kilometres on a bearing of north 45 degrees towards the east. So that means that's 45 degrees in there. And it says how far north or south are we? So we're looking for that line there. So how far north are we? So that's x. And this is just a standard trig question. If that's 45 degrees, then that's 45 degrees. And we've got this side here being 10. So if I redraw my triangle, that being 45 degrees, this being 10 kilometres, I can then work out what this distance is here. How? Quite easily. We just use trig. So we label our triangle, we have the hypotenuse, and we're looking for the opposite, which is the side here we're looking for, x. Okay, so we just use sine 45 equals opposite over 10. Well, that should be an x over 10. So then you just use your standard trig ratios because it's a right angled triangle. So most of the stuff you're doing is working with the rules you already learnt either in chapter 8 or in chapter 7. Some of the more tricky ones, so we've got a question 2a here, where we've got a north 10 degrees west. And that's on a bearing of north 35 degrees east. And that's 400 meters. Okay, so this is the question 2a basically, and it's asking you to find this side here. Now this isn't a right angle triangle, so how do we go about this? We can use other methods that we learnt. So we can work out this angle here, because that's 35 degrees, and this little one here is north 10 degrees towards the west, so that total angle there is actually 45 degrees. You can't see what I'm doing. I really should check what's going on. Let's do that again. So the red angle there is 35 because we're north 35 degrees east. Right? This little red angle here is north 10 degrees west, so we start at north and head 10 degrees west. So the total angle there is 45 degrees. If that's 45 degrees and we have this side and this side, we can work out the third side using the cos rule because we're not in a right angle triangle. So the cos rule, for those who can't remember it, is c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cos c. So we label our sides according to that. So this is little c, which means this is big C, and then these can be a and b, it doesn't really matter. So if we fill in all of our values like you did when you were doing the cos rule in chapter 8, we get c squared equals 200 squared plus 400 squared minus 2 times 200 times 400 cos 45, and then you follow that through on your calculator and you come out with c at the end. Okay, so all of this stuff is just using the information you've got in the past chapters to apply it into what they're calling real life situations. The other thing you'll notice is every question I do, I draw it myself so that I can write all over it and label things, and I highly recommend you do the same when you're completing any of the questions in here where you are applying the knowledge you learnt in the last few chapters. Do a whole heap of drawing. It is so much easier if you can draw it and work out what it is you're looking at.